us on the broadcast. Mr. Tirupati, once again a case of VVIPism coming to fore where the Mantri's cavalcade was allowed to pass while the ambulance was made to wait.
This is not VVIPism. This is something very atrocious, and the Chief Minister has to take a call on this. Why should the Education Minister have that? That's a huge convoy. I don't understand. And the ambulance, which was with the siren, was forcibly stopped by the police. I think this is becoming too atrocious for the government, for the ministers. I think definitely everybody should be suspended in this regard. The Chief Minister has to definitely regret for what has happened.
Right. It is being said that the School Education Minister was there on inspection of flood prevention work. It is very clear that the minister could have waited. They should have given a preference to the ambulance first, which had a patient inside it.
100% yes. See, what is the need for the minister to have that kind of a convoy, huge number of vehicles, at least 10 I can see, from the video what I have seen. And that is unwarranted and not needed at all. So definitely the Chief Minister has to suspend the people who are responsible for this. How can an ambulance wait for the minister?
Absolutely. So you're saying not just the minister and the officials traveling with him, but those who gave way to the minister and asked the ambulance to stop also need to be pulled up?
Yes. Whoever has ordered for it, whoever has done this, they should be punished, including the minister. If at all the Chief Minister, Mr. Stalin, feels that he is abiding law, I think not even you leave alone law. There should be some humanitarian gesture. You don't even have this. So the Chief Minister has to prove that he will take action on these atrocious acts.
All right, Mr. Tirupati, thank you very much for joining us. I want to go back to Prapanch, who continues to be with us. And there are several cars in that cavalcade, Prapanch. What is the information on, the time that was taken for this entire cavalcade to pass?
Now there were several cars. We saw the video that there were several cars that passed through along with the minister's car. Now initially, if we could say that only few cars could have passed, and subsequently other cars could have stopped at the end. They could have provided a space for the ambulance to wait through, and they could have moved to the other side. However, we could see that only after the complete accompanying vehicles had come along with the minister's vehicle had passed through, only after that the ambulance was allowed to pass through. So this is quite a questionable action from the act of the officials or the people who had accompanied the minister. Now we could see that we need to check if some action is taken on the people who were deployed on the security or the people who had accompanied, because they could have stopped a group of vehicles after seeing the ambulance on one side of the road.
Well, absolutely. One police personnel, in fact, can be seen standing in front of the ambulance, and he was making way or giving way to the cavalcade. Like you said, on one end was the ambulance, on the other end was Mantriji's cavalcade. Even if, let's say, one car of that cavalcade had passed, the rest could have been directed to stop where they were.
That's right. That could have been done because it was a long group of cars, nearly 20-25 odd group of cars were accompanying minister's car. Now minister's car was in fact in that particular area. He was going for flood preparation work, inspection of those works. However, we could see that they could have stopped a group of cars because this was an ambulance with flashlights on, sirens on. So it was in fact evident to people around that there was an ambulance standing over there. People could have heard the sound of the ambulance. They could have stopped from where they were, but however we could see that the ambulance was made to wait there until the whole group of vehicles had passed through the Anekare bridge in that Tiruvadai-Marandur Taluk in Tanjavur district. Only after that the ambulance was allowed to pass through. So this is quite in fact shocking.
Absolutely, it's unfortunate. In fact, even after several incidents have come to fore where the patients unfortunately lost their lives because they had to wait in traffic jams or because they were not given way, and amendments made in the Motor Vehicles Act as well, the netas and some of the officials don't seem to be learning a lesson. We have Pratibha also on the broadcast to explain the visuals. Before that, Pratibha, I have to go across to Brinda Adige, an activist joining us on the broadcast. Once again, we're discussing the same issue. Privilege, preference being given to the mantri, to the netas than an ambulance, Brinda Adige.
That's not only appalling and disgraceful, but also goes to show that the feudal mindset of these netas does not seem to erode at all. No matter what education, no matter what principles are being set by our Prime Minister, who has said that the ambulance is more important, the life of the person is more important, and everybody else must give way to the ambulance. And having this minister in the Tanjavur district who seems to think that he has the right of way is absolutely disgraceful. I hope the Chief Minister of the state pulls up this fellow and he apologizes to the ambulance driver and the people who are inside the ambulance.
Absolutely. Action also needs to be taken against those officials on ground who in fact gave way to the Mantri's cavalcade. Not just the Mantri, the officials also need to be pulled up. We have Mr. Rajashekharan joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Rajashekharan, you're a lawyer as well. You know the kind of punishment and the fine that has been levied if in case you block an ambulance, but VVIP racism once again coming to fore.
Yes, everybody is aware. Even as a citizen, when we travel in the city of Chennai, if we hear any ambulance coming behind us or beside us, immediately we'll park our vehicle and allow the ambulance to pass because it is the most emergency. And this kind of VVIP racism, it's beyond that inhuman behavior by the minister. Minister should have stopped. He shouldn't have encouraged the police officials and whoever had made the ambulance to stop and the Mantri has to go pass by. Crossing the ambulance is very unfortunate and shows the political arrogance of and the behavior of the minister, school education minister. Not only apologizing, the officers should be suspended for their unruly and inhuman behavior.
All right, Mr. Rajashekharan and Brindadike, thank you very much for joining us. Let's go back to Pratibha now. She's going to explain the visuals to us. Pratibha, not just VVIP racism, says C. Rajashekharan, but this is inhuman as well on part of the Mantri.
Absolutely, and look at the visuals here, Swati. Unfortunately, this is a visual we see play out time and again. Here, as the convoy passes, you have the ambulance waiting there. The siren is blaring, and right here, police officer seen there in uniform. So the police officer is aware that there is an ambulance waiting. Can also see that these vehicles are going. It's not just one or two vehicles. The ambulance has been halted here. There's a school bus here as well, right beside that has been halted. So these red beacons might have gone, but this VVIP mindset still continues, which is why the Neta also not giving it another thought, despite the fact knowing very well there's an ambulance waiting there. We know very well about the golden hour as well, which means for the patient that 1 hour is extremely crucial, which is why ambulances are very important. The sirens are blaring there, but the minister not caring about what's happening on ground. The VVIP mindset out on display as the minister's convoy just passes there. He himself, Anbil Mahesh, the education minister, not stopping at all. He, ironically was visiting the flood affected areas, so he wanted to show his compassion for that. But there are patients waiting here, not bothered about that. He just crosses from there. Unfortunately, there's a policeman also seen right here, the official not taking any action at all, not stopping the convoy.
Okay, Pratibha, we have AIADMK spokesperson Konvoy Satyan joining us on the broadcast. Shocking visuals coming in, not just 1, 2, but I believe 4 to 5 cars, part of the cavalcade of the minister that was allowed to pass while the ambulance was made to wait, and crucial time was wasted.
Yeah, let me remind this. PM said he is going to minimize this cavalcade by 50%. That has never happened. This is the same education minister who commented on the Kallakurchi student suicide, saying that it was just one life lost. They are being so insensitive. I think the power is getting onto their head. Everybody started to feel that they are the chief ministers of the state. They have become insensitive.
Absolutely.
Each and every need of common man.
But Mr. Satyan, what needs to be seen now is the action taken, not just against the Mantri, those who are accompanying him, and individuals who on ground gave him the pass, gave him preference.
That's what, by the norms, he is not supposed to have that much of a convoy. He is a minister, that's it. He is not a CM. And he has his own people, fan followers and everybody who put flashlights on their vehicles and try to join the convoy. And half of it, 90% of this is not the government authorized convoys. convoy vehicles. These are all his own, and fan followers and cadres, party cadres convoy.
Okay, so you're saying in the first place the convoy, the cavalcade should not have been that long. And, you know, what we're also picking up is that he was there for flood inspection work, but, you know, couldn't really sympathize with the patient and individuals present inside the ambulance. The minister could have and should have taken an initiative. He could have asked his convoy, his cavalcade to wait, make way for the ambulance first, if the officials forgot about it.
Yeah, true. If they have little iota of civic sense, if they have anything to do with common man's apathy, they would have set an example. For the DMK of all matters is power and showing the might in terms of showcase. They're only interested to showcase in advertisements, colorful advertisements and colorful messages. When it comes to action, you cannot expect them to be falling in line with what the law is required.
All right, Mr. Satyam, thank you very much for joining us, for giving us your time. Let's go back to Pratibha and Prapanch. To Pratibha first. In fact, let's highlight that entire cavalcade, cars passing one after the other while the ambulance is waiting.
That's right, Swati. As we were just showing you, you know, while the ambulance waits there, here you can see cars passing one after the other. So like we mentioned, the red beacons are gone, but you can see the entire convoy there, vehicle like one after the other visiting. This is to the flood affected area. So the minister there making his presence felt, but as the vehicles pass, it is the ambulance and the school bus that's waiting there. More importantly, the ambulance with the sirens blaring there, which a clear indication that there is a patient inside. Now, this is a sign that perhaps every person in the entire country knows when you're on the road, when you see sirens are blaring, there's an ambulance right behind you, the first reaction is to immediately move to the side. But that did not seem to be happening. And it's not just the minister. In the convoy, there are so many vehicles. Not one of the vehicles just stops for a moment and says, let's allow this ambulance to pass from there. And here as well, a police official there, seen right there, can also be seen saluting, in fact. And despite that, not, you know, taking a moment there to say, let's have the ambulance pass from there. So this is Anbil Mahesh, the education minister, who is seen in Thanjavur crossing from there. The police official, so, you know, to pin the blame, first, of course, the minister who is having a cavalcade like this, crossing from there, the police official who is right there, and it's, of course, in these visuals you can see the police official, because but there will be several other officials as well who are deployed there. And for the police officials as well, they are aware that if they don't take this action, if they don't allow a smooth movement of vehicle movement for the minister, then they will be pulled up, which is why they are taking this action as well. So when action is initiated against the police officials for taking this kind of action, halting this this ambulance over here,
you know, it's very interesting,
also lies on the minister.
Yes, it's very interesting, because why would and why should the police officer be pulled up for not giving the minister the first pass and giving preference to the ambulance? According to the law, you cannot block the path to life, you cannot block the ambulance.
Absolutely, but you know, unfortunately, as we've seen in several of such cases, the policemen, for doing their duty, they're often shunted out. That perhaps explains the reason why the policeman also, of course, the policeman is duty bound to ensure that the ambulance passes from there, should have halted the vehicles. That was not taken, and this is obviously not the only policeman there. There will be other police officials also deployed for the minister's visit, but that was clearly not done.
Well, it remains to be seen what action is taken now. Thank you very much, Prapanch and Pratibha, for getting us those details. Without a quick break.